In Retro Game of the Week, we dive into our game library and pick out a classic to see if it still holds up today. Let's grab a controller and play some retro games.
This week we're going all Austin Powers on you by picking No One Lives Forever as our Retro Game of the Week.
Yeah, baby!
This stealth shooter from the year 2000 let you play the sexy secret agent Cate Archer in the swinging 60s. Oh, behave.
This club is super groovy, don't you think so?
The story started with half of the British intelligence agency being assassinated. You were sent on a mission to find prime suspect Volkov, who was the head of a new terrorist organization called HARM.
Was it HARM?
Indeed. They've just issued their demands.
What you know is that at precisely 1700 hours Greenwich Mean Time on September 19th, 1967, an explosion destroyed Club Metropole in Monte Carlo, Monaco, killing 47 people and injuring more than 100.
The story was pretty fun, but NOLF really stood out because of three things.
As far as I'm concerned, they're lint.
Excuse me, Baroness.
I said no interruptions! Somebody shoot this man!
The first thing that made it great was its humor. The game was filled with funny dialogue and witty banter.
Say, can I borrow a dime? I want to call my mom and tell her I just met the girl of my dreams.
I gave my last dime to a worthwhile charity.
Ouch.
The second great thing was the gadgets. It is only natural that a spy like Archer had a number of nice gadgets like exploding lipstick, toxic perfume,
Count on it.
and a belt buckle that doubled as a grappling hook. The third great thing about the game was the diverse locations you had to explore. Archer was sent all over the world to look for Volkov. There was also a couple of cool James Bond-like action sequences, including snowmobile and motorcycle chases, and even a skydiving level.
Excuse me, do you mind if I borrow that parachute?
Get away from me!
On top of all of that, it was also an absolute joy to see the way in which NOLF poked fun at the 60s and British spy culture. You can really tell that this game was made by fans of the classic James Bond movies. The game was also full of ludicrous national stereotypes. I bet you can all guess where these few characters are from.
A good beating might knock some of that ugly out of you. Care to find out?
I will be in my quarters rehearsing. I am not to be disturbed.
I wonder where my boyfriend is. He asked me to meet him here.
It's not my fault that you're out here and she is in there. It is your fault. She is your girlfriend. You should have known better than to ask her to wait for you inside a club that is known to fill up every single night.
No One Lives Forever was a decent shooter with loads and loads of personality. Its humor, interesting gadgets, and constant variety make it worth replaying even if the graphics look rather dated. So pour yourself a vodka martini and dive into the sexy world of espionage, baby.
Criminal sociology is a hobby of mine. I think it's important to understand not just the individual psychological roots of one's behavior, but also the social circumstances that foster that behavior. Whether we like it or not, we are shaped by our environment.
Surely you're not suggesting that individuals aren't accountable for their actions?
Oh no, of course not. Just because we are products of the societies we're born into doesn't absolve us of personal responsibility. Our religions and laws teach us what is right and what is wrong. Frequently, the right choice is the more difficult path to take. It requires sacrifice, self-discipline, patience, virtues that many of us find somewhat lacking in our natures.
But what if you're born into a hedonistic culture?
Look across history. The reason hedonism is discouraged by most religions and governments is that it weakens a civilization. It breeds sloth, petulance, degeneracy, and selfishness. A divided nation is a fragile nation waiting to be conquered. Unity is strength. Humans instinctively fashion order out of chaos. It is a natural, probably genetic impulse. Therefore, even an individual born into troubled times has the capacity, and even the duty, to behave in a manner that promotes unity, however difficult it may be.
Then what about us?
I can only speak for myself. I am a product of a broken household, which introduced a general lack of self-confidence in me at a very early age. These feelings of inadequacy blossomed into anger as I matured, that the rigors of adolescence, with the teasing and abuse and awkwardness we must all endure, only exacerbated. But even though I've identified the source of my problems, I'm still too childish and petty to become a responsible, mature citizen.
Well, admitting you have a problem is the first step, I suppose.
I like to think so.
Potency